The 41st Ryder Cup is about to get underway, and once the first tee shot is struck, it'll be time for the talking to stop. However, before that, we've been getting a couple of the best talkers in the game to give us their views on all things Ryder Cup.
I think that you have to consider America as favourites, and that's a curious standpoint to take given recent results, but the fact that they do have plenty of experience in their team, plenty of players who've been on good form this year, and a degree of youth coming through there. The likes of Ricky Fowler is very young, but is very experienced. He's not won a Ryder Cup match yet, but he has had some very good performances and some very important halves in his matches so far.
I think someone would not be paying attention if they didn't make the Americans the favorite just based on who they have and the form they've got. You know, Dustin Johnson is the premier player in golf at the moment and probably has been since June. Jordan Spieth, when he putts average for him, it's still better than most people. Top to bottom, from everyone they have, you don't see any real weakness.
I think they're going through a generational change. You know, there's no Ian Poulter, although he's there as a vice captain. There's no Luke Donald. There's no Graham McDowell. These kind of players have been the real mainstays of Europe's great success, winning the last 3 Ryder Cups. But the generational change has happened, and that's why there are so many newcomers in the team. They will be able to thrive on the confidence that courses through the veins of Europe when it comes to the Ryder Cup, but of course they don't have the direct experience. So that is something that Darren Clarke is going to have to work very carefully with throughout the week in Hazeltine.
I think Rory is as great as he is and how much he'd accomplished even in 10, having won at Wells Fargo in America, having won at Dubai. For all that, I think the Ryder Cup and the stage, it didn't get to him, but it made him aware. I think it affected him a little bit. And if it affects someone like Rory, it's going to affect someone like Brooks Koepka in America, you've now got 6 Europeans, be it Chris Wood, even Danny Willett with a green jacket. You know, even with that experience, I think it's going to take some getting used to. On the other hand, sometimes when there's so many rookies, it also makes it better. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, there were 6 at Celtic Manor.
I think the likes of Patrick Reed and Jordan Spieth are going to be absolutely key for the Americans. Jimmy Walker comes into this team off the back of winning the PGA Championship, and then you have the likes of Dustin Johnson, who I think will make a huge difference to the team, and he perhaps is the difference for America from the team that played at Glen Eagles. He wasn't available then. Now he's in the mix and in that team, and will be one of the leaders of that team. And in 4-balls and in foursomes, he could be a very, very strong character, and no one would want to come up against him in the singles. So certainly from the American point of view, I think Johnson is absolutely key.
It would have to be Dustin Johnson because he's the best in the world right now, I think, by form, and he doesn't think too much about anything at all. You know, he won all of his matches at Medina. Didn't fare so well at Wales his first time around. He also had Phil Mickelson as a partner, and that was kind of a funny little chemistry to it. So I think he'd be the one to deliver, and frankly, I think Matt Kuchar would be another one just because he's so steady and rarely out of any holes. And Spieth, again, Jordan's having a very good year. It just doesn't seem like it coming off the year he had last year. But he's very good in team matches. What's interesting about Jordan is I don't believe he's won a singles match yet in either the Ryder Cup or the President's Cup.
Well, I don't think the Ryder Cup has ever been at the very top of Tiger Woods' personal agenda, but the fact of the matter is he's the biggest personality in the game. So I wasn't surprised to see him selected as a vice captain. I think it would have been a very brave decision to ignore Tiger Woods once he said that he was very keen to be a vice captain and to be involved. Would that have been the right decision? Who knows? We probably will never know. But I think it's one of the aspects of this Ryder Cup that is going to be very interesting to watch, to analyse and make judgments on. Yes, he could be a very, very inspirational figure, but he could equally be I hate to say it, disruptive. I don't think it would be intentionally disruptive, but just because of the character that he is, his standing in the game, makes him very, very difficult to play a secondary role. And that surely is the role of a vice-captain.
Well, I think Tiger wants to be a part of everything. Usually it's a part of every tournament, and it's thrashing everybody back in his day. But he's a large part of the PGA Tour. He's the biggest part of the PGA Tour. The big event, the Ryder Cup, is happening, and I think he wants to be part of it. Tiger's got a lot of opinions. I think Tiger's got a lot of information that he can share and probably has shared. The question is how much of a presence he becomes, and that really is, to me, a wild card. I always felt in 2008 the Americans gained by him not being there, because for the first time they were a team of 12 instead of one superstar and 11 other players that came with him. That wasn't Tiger's fault. That's not necessarily the media's fault or the public. That's just the way it is. I mean, Tiger Woods is such a presence that with him nursing that knee injury, they didn't have a standout person. They were collectively together. Now, he's going to be one of 4 assistants. Camera's probably going to be on him more than the other 3 vice captains. It's probably going to be on him more than it might be on Davis Love. And he's not playing, so that shouldn't matter. But his presence in the team room and how they respond to him is something we just don't know yet.